Good morning everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Unfog with Dr. Atahar Parveen. Friends, I hope that you all know about this good news that Christ notification has been released in the KEA website, and we are just checking for the updates daily now. So as soon as we keep on getting the updates, we will be sharing it with all of you. In fact, we have also shared it. We have given all the details of the notification in our YouTube channel Unfog with Dr. Atahar Parveen. Now this is a signal for you all to get ready and become serious and make sure to start preparation, or make sure to make your preparation little bit faster now, because now Christ notification has come. We can expect HSTR, GPSTR also, and of course CTET notification though has already come only. So friends, please take this very seriously and start preparing. So in this class we will be discussing science part, because many aspirants were requesting for this part, and specifically we will be discussing chemistry multiple choice questions, and also we will be discussing descriptive part from the concepts from the MCQs questions only. So this class is going to be very useful for HSTR CB and CRIS CB aspirants, along with the GPSTR, CTET and TET aspirants. However, we will be showing you the answers of the previous mathematics class in this class only at the end of the class. So if you are an aspirant who is preparing for HSTR PM method, but then again if you are preparing for GPSTR or TET, then this class is for you. Okay, and aspirants who are preparing for CRIS, CTET, TET and HSTR CB method, all the aspirants have to watch this class, because we are going to discuss very important and most useful concepts in this class. We are also keeping in mind the descriptive part in your exam. Of course, for GPSTR, though already there is descriptive part. In case they introduce a descriptive part in HSTR, that's why we are keeping in mind that also, and we are going to discuss the most important concepts here. So basically we will discuss multiple choice questions only, but behind that multiple choice questions, what type of descriptive questions can be asked, we will discuss those also along with their answers. Okay, so if you have not subscribed to our channel, subscribe right now, and also you can share our classes with other teacher recruitment aspirants and your friends, and also make sure to join our Telegram group and the Telegram channel. You will get the link in the description below this video. So this is the first question of today's class. The question is, which of the following represents correct matching order? So they have given one match the following type of question. They have given the name of the acids in one column, and they have given the sources in another column. Here they are given acetic acid, lactic acid, oxalic acid and ascorbic acid, and their sources they are given curd, spinach, citrus fruits, vinegar. You have to match the following and choose the option here. So in this type of questions you will be getting little bit confused, because here in the match the following, even if one match goes wrong, your entire answer is going to be wrong. So that's why even though the question is one, here the questions are 4 inside this question. Usually match the following questions are like that only, right? So here I am first giving you a table with all the 4 acids, and I am also giving you their chemical formulae, and I am also giving you their sources. The correct answers these are, right? So acetic acid means the chemical formula is CH3COOH. Now acetic acid, another name is vinegar. So basically we can say that acetic acid is present in vinegar. This vinegar is there, no? We usually use it in noodles and all that, right? In the Chinese food items we use vinegar. Now this vinegar is having little bit of sour taste, and it is also used in preserving the food items. So the another name we can say is acetic acid. You have to remember the formula. It is very important. CH3COOH. Okay. Another next acid is lactic acid. The formula is C3H6O3. See these chemical formulae, no, just like that you cannot remember. You will have to go in details. Then only you can remember. Okay. But some acids are there or some bases are there which are very common. Just every time you are reading and revising, like that only that things will come in your mind, and just like that only the chemical formulae will print in your mind. That types are also there, like these are the common ones, no, just by reading the questions and by doing revision every time, like that only the chemical formulae will be settled in your mind, right? So lactic acid is found in curds. It is also found in milk. Now this curd, no, it has some bacteria. The name of the bacteria is lactobacillus. This lactobacillus produces lactic acid. Now this lactic acid is normally produced during fermentation. So that's why we say that lactic acid is present in curd. Okay. Next acid is oxalic acid. The chemical formula is H2C2O4, and this is present in spinach. In Hindi we call it as a palak. Green leaves they are, right? Spinach. Not only in spinach, oxalic acid is also present in tomato and even in beetroot. Next one is ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid means it is actually vitamin C. And vitamin C is found in which of the vegetables or fruits? It is found in citrus fruits like lemon, orange, amla, etc. Right? Amla means this nallikai they say, right? So that is amla, and ascorbic acid or vitamin C is found in these fruits. Now getting so much of knowledge, it is easy for us to find out the correct answer, right, from the question. So acetic acid is in vinegar, lactic acid is in curd, oxalic acid is in spinach, ascorbic acid is in citrus fruits. So this matches our correct answer, option 4. Okay, clear, right? Now after discussing all this, we should also know that there are many more acids, and better you know their common sources also, because we can expect one question from this part every time. For sure it is asked. In all teacher recruitments it is asked. So that's why better you know this also. So this oxalic acid, acetic acid, lactic acid and ascorbic acid we have discussed in this question only, right? Then we have citric acid. Don't get confused between ascorbic acid and citric acid. They are not same. They are different. But then citric acid is also found in the same citrus fruits only, lemon and orange. Okay. Then we have formic acid. This formic acid is produced by the ants. When the ants sting, at that time formic acid is produced. This is a very important point related to formic acid. So I will be discussing one question from formic acid also, because very common question it is. We can expect this time in any of the teacher recruitment exams. Okay. Next, question number 2. X is a chemical present in our stomach and is necessary for digestion of food. Try to understand the question because it is a big question, right? So you have to read carefully and try to understand. X is a chemical which is present in our stomach and it is necessary for digestion of food. When X is secreted in excess, it causes health problems like indigestion. Y is a chemical used to treat this condition. What could be X and Y? So basically they are telling a story about X and Y. By understanding the situation, you should give the names of X and Y. They have given options here. They are telling X is milk of magnesia, Y is ascorbic acid and vice versa. Not vice versa, but they are telling here that Y is hydrochloric acid. Here they are telling Y is sodium carbonate. Here they are telling X is hydrochloric acid. Like that options they have given. Okay. Now, in order to give answer to this type of questions, you should not see options. You should understand the question and find out answer without seeing the options. Then match your answer with the options given in the question. Okay. So firstly, let us understand the story from the beginning. I will tell you in the form of descriptive question and answers. You will understand. Okay. So which acid is actually present in the stomach? Means it is hydrochloric acid. What is the function of hydrochloric acid? That you should understand here. The function of hydrochloric acid is that it helps in digestion of our food. Not only that, it activates pepsin. What is this pepsin? Pepsin is one protein which is produced in our stomach, and it is actually a digestive enzyme. So it helps in digestion of the food. What else does HCl do? It kills harmful microorganisms which are present in the food. Okay. And basically, how is this HCl coming into our stomach? It is actually secreted by gastric glands in our stomach. So they can ask a 2-mark question based on this also. So you should be knowing what is hydrochloric acid and what are its functions. Now let us proceed with the story. We now understood about the hydrochloric acid, and it is helpful in our digestion. Now coming to the story of the question here. What happens if HCl is produced in excess? Actually, if HCl is produced in excess, in our stomach, acidity will be happening. Not only in our stomach, we will feel acidity, we will have heartburn, we will have indigestion, and because of that we will also have stomach pain, right? Usually it is a very common problem, we get acidity problem, right? So that is because of excess of HCl. Now how to overcome this problem? How to solve this issue? What do we do when we get acidity? We use a medicine. What is that name of medicine? That medicine is actually some Digen syrup maybe, right? Nowadays so many more tablets are there, but here we are talking about the Digen syrup. The content which is there in the Digen syrup, it is milk of magnesia. Basically its chemical name is magnesium hydroxide. It is actually a base. Now hydrochloric acid is a acid, right? Now to neutralize it, we want a base. So this antacid is that base which will work in our stomach by neutralizing the acid, which is hydrochloric acid here. So basically the chemical formula of this milk of magnesia or magnesium hydroxide, MgOH twice, it will react with hydrochloric acid by producing some water and magnesium chloride. So this way our acidity problem gets solved, because the milk of magnesia neutralizes the excessive hydrochloric acid. Okay, so this is the entire story. After understanding the story, now you should match your answer with the given option here. Now we understood that X is hydrochloric acid and Y is a milk of magnesia. So which option will be correct here? Option 4 will be the correct answer here. So that's why I keep on telling aspirants that don't worry whether it is a MCQ type question paper or a descriptive type question paper. Even MCQ can be converted into a descriptive question. Even descriptive question can be converted into a MCQ. Only thing is that you should have the subject knowledge, you should have the concept knowledge, but little bit you will have to do little bit extra work while you are preparing for your exam. You need to write. You need to practice writing. You need to read everything in detail. That will help you with both MCQ and descriptive part. Okay. Now coming to question number 3. Which of the following statements is or are correct? So 3 statements they have given. Which one? Either 1 is correct or maybe 2 is correct. We don't know based on the options. So we will have to find out which is the correct option here. B and C, only A, only B, or A and B. So let us first see 3 options here. Iron can replace zinc from zinc sulfate solution. That is one point. Another point they have given is zinc can replace copper from copper sulfate solution. Another point is copper can replace iron from iron sulfate solution. Now in order to understand the answer for this question, you should know one important concept known as a reactivity series. Now I am giving you this picture wherein I am showing you the reactivity of the elements from the periodic table. Here no, the elements which are written here, no, potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, these are the most reactive elements, I can say. From potassium to gold, the reactivity decreases. In this also, from top 5 also, which is the most reactive? Potassium. In top 5, which is the least reactive? Aluminium. In the entire series, which is the least reactive? Gold. You get my point, right? So here the reactivity of the elements decreases from potassium till gold. You have to remember the names of these elements in order. That will give you the reactivity series. If you are a paid class aspirant, then you will be knowing we have given many synonyms to just remember this reactivity series. If you are not a paid class aspirant, then you can just Google. There are some mnemonics which will help you remembering the series in order. Okay. So you have to observe this very carefully. Now it is very much clear from this series that here zinc is there, no? It is most reactive among the given metals when you compare with iron and copper. In the question they have given zinc, iron, copper, right? So in zinc, iron and copper, zinc is the most reactive. Seeing other two options, it is about iron and zinc and copper and iron, right? Let us start with option A. First one, I mean statement A. Iron can replace zinc from zinc sulfate solution. Now this option A is wrong because iron cannot replace zinc from zinc sulfate solution. What is the reason? The reason is that if you see the reactivity series, zinc is more reactive than iron. So zinc is having, in layman language, we can say that zinc is having more strength than iron. Then how can iron replace zinc? It is not possible, right? But zinc can replace iron because zinc is having more reactivity, right? But in the statement A, they are telling iron can replace zinc from zinc sulfate solution. That is not possible because zinc is having more reactivity compared to iron. So iron is less reactive than zinc, so there is no reaction. So option 1 will be wrong. Okay. Next, coming to option B. Zinc can replace copper from copper sulfate solution. Zinc is here, copper is here. So zinc is more reactive than copper, right? That means zinc can easily replace copper from copper sulfate solution. So that's why option B will be the correct answer here. Now here in the options, if you see, no, in option 1, 2, 3 and 4, you have to choose only B. That one will be the correct answer here. Only B. Okay. Coming to statement C. Copper can replace iron? No. Obviously it cannot because iron is having more reactivity. So that's why option B or statement B or option 3 will be the correct answer here. Okay. Now let us talk about some more important points. Which metal can displace hydrogen from dilute acids? Here, because we are talking about the reactivity series, you should also understand that which metal is actually capable of displacing hydrogen from dilute acids. It is actually the metals which are written above the hydrogen here in the reactivity series. What are they? Zinc is there, iron is there, magnesium is there, aluminium is there. These are all metals, right? So these metals which are above hydrogen in the reactivity series, only they can displace hydrogen from dilute acids, because at the same reason we have discussed in this question, right? The same reason that the metals above the hydrogen are more reactive, so they can easily displace hydrogen from dilute acids. So which metals cannot liberate hydrogen from dilute hydrochloric acid? Obviously, metals below hydrogen cannot do it because the reactivity will be less for them when compared to hydrogen. What are they? Copper, mercury, silver and gold. They cannot liberate hydrogen from dilute hydrochloric acid. They can ask these type of questions for 2 marks, or they can combine and ask questions for 3 marks also. They can ask one reactivity series question for 3 marks. So you should be able to write some points. So that's why I am giving you these points here. So here, so basically which metal is the most reactive from the list? If you see the topmost metal, which is the potassium. Which metal is least reactive? Obviously it is gold. Which metal is stored in kerosene? Actually remember these two metals, sodium and potassium, they are stored in kerosene. Simple reason, again obvious reason why, because they are most reactive. So that's why to suppress their reactiveness they are put in kerosene. Now when we say that potassium and sodium are most reactive, what does it actually mean? If you don't put it in kerosene, no, they will react vigorously with even air and water also. So that's why to protect them, it is stored in kerosene. Okay, clear, right? So just we have taken one multiple choice questions, we have made entire descriptive answer, we have learnt many more points which can be asked in MCQs also. Okay friends. Next question, question number 4. Which of the following acids is found in ants' sting? This I already actually told you. Which is the acid? It is formic acid. But we really need to learn more about formic acid. That's why I have taken this question. See, formic acid is actually a weak acid. Its chemical formula is HCOOH, or its chemical name is methanoic acid. Thus the reason why the ant sting actually causes burning, because of this formic acid. The ant will produce that formic acid when it will bite us. Okay, but then why it is causing burning? It is because it is injecting the formic acid into our skin and our skin gets irritated. What we have to do when the ant bites us? First aid is, obviously because it is a formic acid, I mean it is an acid, right? Though it is weak acid, it is an acid. So to neutralize it, we should apply some base. For example, baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, NaHCO3. It is a base. It is a mild base. So it can neutralize formic acid. Or calamine lotion is there. Like Caladryl, you must be knowing this lotion, right? So that lotion contains zinc carbonate or zinc oxide, that will also neutralize this formic acid. Now when I say that formic acid is a weak acid, you should understand that there are two types of acids. One is a strong acid, another one is a weak acid. What is a strong acid? It is that type of acid which completely ionizes or which completely dissociates in water. And while it dissociates in water, it releases almost all hydrogen ions in the water. Examples of strong acid: hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, HCl, H2SO4, HNO3, all these are strong acids. So basically these are those acids which completely ionize in water, means they completely release hydrogen ions in water. Whereas this weak acids, no. They only partially ionize in water. They do not completely release all hydrogen ions. They release only few hydrogen ions in water. For example, this just now we learnt, no, formic acid, acetic acid, citric acid, lactic acid, all these are weak acids. So you have to understand some points. They can ask this type of question: what is the difference between strong acid and a weak acid? Explain with examples. So you have to write these points along with examples. Or they may ask a question: why does an ant sting cause burning? What is the first aid you give to settle that burning or to minimize that burning? They may also ask examples of the neutralizing agents used here. Okay, in descriptive part I am telling. Or in MCQs, so this is a very common question. When they ask about formic acid, they ask about oxalic, ascorbic, acetic, any acid they ask. 1 or 2 questions are always there in every question paper. Okay. Next question, question number 5. 3.7 kg of a fuel is completely burnt to give off 1.665 into 10 to the 8th joule of energy. The calorific value of the fuel in standard unit is. So the question here is actually a numerical based question, and this is also very important question. They can give this in the descriptive part also, in GPST or also in HST or also, even in CRIS also. Same question they will say give, but they will not give options. You have to find out calorific value. They will give for 3 marks this type of question. Okay, in that 3 marks will be divided for units also, calculation also, final answer also. Okay, you have to keep that in mind. So let us start with the what is calorific value. See, calorific value is actually how much of heat energy is released when you burn the fuel completely. If you burn that 1 kg of fuel completely, how much of heat will be released? Heat energy. That heat energy value is actually the calorific value. Okay, so here basically 1 kg of fuel should be completely burnt. That will give you calorific value. Remember that the SI unit of calorific value will be joule per kg, because we are talking about heat energy here. What is the unit of energy? Joule per kg, right? And if you want to convert it in kilojoules, remember that 1000 joule will make 1 kilojoule. Okay? And what is the standard unit? This is the standard unit. This is the SI unit. We have a formula for calorific value. What is it? Heat produced by mass of the fuel. What they have given in the question? They have given mass. They have given heat produced. These two just you have to substitute and get the answer. For that you should be knowing the formula, right? So what is the calorific value? It is equal to heat produced. What is there in the question? 1.665 into 10 to the 8 joule divided by what is the mass of the fuel? It is 3.7 kg. So with this units only you can say that it is joule per kg, right? So you have to carefully calculate it. How do you calculate? In my normal procedure is this, right? I always remove the decimal point, right? Like this, 37. Here I will write 00 because I removed the decimal point of 1.665, right? So into 10 to the 8. So if you do some division properly, if you do, here you will get the answer 0.45. Take it as an assignment. You divide and tell me whether you are getting 0.45 or not. Okay. So into 10 to the 8. Now what is this? This is joule per kg. But this is only SI unit. They are asking standard unit. For standard unit, what you have to do? You have to convert it in kilojoules. How do you convert it in kilojoules? Write 0.45 into 10 to the 8 divided by 1000. This will give me 4.5 into 10 to the 8 will become 10 to the 7. I just shifted the decimal point. Here I have 10 to the 3. So this is equal to 4.5 into 10 to the 4, because this 3 will become minus 3 here, right? So then you will get 10 to the 4. So now you have to just multiply it. It will become 4, 5, decimal will go with 3 zeros will come. So this one will become kilojoule per kg. I should not write standard unit here. I should write standard unit. I will write it separately. This for joule only I wrote, right? Standard unit of calorific value will be kilojoule per kg. This is just the conversion of 1000 joule to 1 kilojoule. Okay. But the standard unit will be kilojoule per kg. Obviously, because this is the SI unit, right? Joule per kg. For that joule, we are converting it to kilojoule. Okay. So our correct answer will be option 2. 45,000 kilojoule per kg. Clear, right? So these were the 5 important questions, and we have tried our best to explain the descriptive part also in these multiple choice questions. Now take your assignment questions. These are the 5 assignment questions. Give answers in the comment section, or you can also give answers in your Telegram group, especially for HSTR, CB method aspirants and GPSTR aspirants. I am telling you, who all are paid batch aspirants, please become active now. try to watch all the classes, all the paid classes, all the free classes, because watching classes will only help you both in MCQs and descriptive part. Okay, so I'll be waiting for your answers. And the previous class mathematics answers, these are the answers. If you have any doubt, you can ask in your group or in the comment section below. Okay friends, I really hope that this class helps you. Let us know in the feedback section what type of classes you want more, or this class was good for you for chemistry. So this will help us in making future classes. Okay, thank you. All the best. Bye.